This episode of the Penalty Loop podcast is sponsored by Grolsch. Grolsch Brouwerij in the Netherlands has been making beer since 1615. And I'm drinking this non-alcoholic Grolsch Lemon Radler, and I can highly recommend it. Available in Canadian stores and probably in other places too. Grolsch. Drink it when you can find it. Hello everybody and welcome to the Penalty Loop podcast. A podcast about biathlon by Jordan Gottschalk from Penalty Loop and a regular guest RJ Weiss from Biathlon Analytics.
Good evening, RJ. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I see that you're just sitting in the house again. You're allowed back in. I take it your family-in-law has departed and you don't have to sit in your car anymore?
The outlaws are gone.
I got a lot of questions. Were you in the car just for the podcast or was it while your family was visiting?
No. Just for the pod.
Okay.
They don't smell that bad. They do let me in the house from time to time. I can come in to eat and use the restroom. But no, yeah. So everybody, we had a really nice time while they were here, but I think after a little over a week, I think everybody was ready to be back to normal routines. So that's kind of what we did this week. We settled into normal routines. We had some really nice Florida weather. It was just 8-ish degrees, 9 degrees Celsius, and misty rain the entire week, which was kind of gross. Not what you moved to Florida for. Yeah.
No
it was
kidding.
not Florida weather. So the sun is back out though, so we're all happy. We got to go out and get our vitamin D, so and work on our melanoma, our skin cancer. So I think we're all back to normal Florida selves here.
Yeah. Do you want to jump into the big news right away from the Norwegian team?
The big news being that
Dale back to the IBU Cup?
I know. There was the question there because there was a lot of big news from the Norwegian team this week.
No, I know. I'm sure there's other news that is more important, but what the hell?
And this is actually interesting because didn't we just talk about this last week? My mind is getting fuzzy. But we were literally just talking about this. Yeah.
Like, what does the guy need to do? And then he wins the whole IBU Cup competition pretty much, and then he goes back, and he wasn't great, but he definitely was good. And I think we talked about, him not being sent back, and I think the day after you were like, got sent back.
It was within 12 hours of us recording. I don't even think it was 12 hours. It might have been 8 hours of us recording. He got sent back.
Well, what does the guy need to do?
Yeah.
And
so
what is it that they don't like about him?
He's on the outs. I don't know. He is going to be competing in the European Championships, and I guess there's not a 0% chance that he's going to be at the World Championships, but it's pretty close to zero. I think that
I don't think he'll even be the spare athlete.
No,
you know how they often bring one.
Yeah. Because they talked about Christensen because they were going to run him in the relay today and then see how that goes. Or I guess relay yesterday, but anyway. So I just feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough situation for any Norwegian, but like you definitely, and I mean maybe there is some history that we don't know about, but like it just feels like he doesn't get a break very very easily.
And just so people know, the men who were named for the European Championship roster that is coming up next week is obviously Dale, and then Christensen, Bakken, Aspinus, Frey, and Boten are the six, which is a pretty formidable team. Not that they need help putting together a formidable team, but
yeah,
that's just it's a lot of high power names. It's just like you said, he won everything. I mean, I think he raced 5 times and won 4 of them, and the other time he was second or third. So I don't know what else you do. And then he goes back and he finished in 10th or 9th in the individual.
8th.
So it's not like he was bad. Was it, you said 8th?
8th.
And
24th in the mass start.
Which is not great, but I don't know.
No, I mean, it would have helped him if he won both, but
Strømsheim has the win in the first individual, and I guess that Norway has a rule, or maybe not a rule, but at least if you have a win, you have a leg up onto the World Championship team. I'm not going to tell them how to run their team, because that is far beyond me, but it seems that maybe they should change that to if you have a win in the second trimester, because a win in the very first race of the season is a really long time ago now.
Yeah. Well, and of course it's always hard. Like if you keep him up, then who's going to go down? But you just have this feeling that if there's ever an unlucky break for anybody on the Norwegian team, it seems to be always him. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they said before the weekend, like, you have to be in the top 10 twice, otherwise you're going to go back. Or
and I get it. There are so many highly qualified guys, right? And Isaac Frey might be the most talented of pretty much anybody there, but he hasn't had any opportunities out on the World Cup.
Right.
And then you see a guy like Uldal who, I was going to mention this later, but Uldal who came up and he sort of got a surprise. I shouldn't say surprise, but I didn't know how easy it was going to be for someone to move up from the IBU Cup to the World Cup this year.
I think that was pretty much a surprise, but it seems pretty common these days. But
yeah, and then he goes and has, I think now he has 6 top 5s in 9 races, and so he's not going anywhere. It's crazy. It's crazy. This team is nuts.
And he's never been. So he has 11 individual races on the World Cup, and he's never been worse than 30th.
And 2 of those were a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah. So they were 20th and 27th. And then this season in Annecy was 21st. And then in Oberhof he was 30th. But I think he was sick.
He was sick, yeah. And, yeah.
So, he's never had fewer than 11 points. 41.5 points on average.
It's a crazy thing, yeah. Ugh. So again, I'm not going to tell them how to run their team. That's just a lot of talent you got to juggle. I feel really bad for Dalla. That it seems like you said, if there's ever anybody who's going to get sent down or going to have the bad luck, it's going to be him. And
well, luckily he has teammates that are willing to create some space on the team for the Olympics at least.
Yeah.
And thank God there's only 2 Boe brothers in the World Cup.
Or else we'd have another retirement next week. I can't take any more of these.
Yeah.
And I don't think Sturla Holm Laegreid can either. Every time that there's a Boe announcement, he becomes a puddle of tears. And honestly, I know. It makes me love him even more to see him up there just crying for his guys, right? I mean, it's really sweet. It just is sweet to see him that open with his emotions.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
but
I love it. But
especially today made me feel bad because it's you got to enjoy your second place and your win, and anyway.
Yeah, no, I know.
But I heard on the rumor windmill that it's not that Tarjei wanted to retire, but he said he can't sleep without JT in the room. So he refuses to have another teammate next year in his room. So then they kicked him off the team.
Yeah, they said, "Sorry, bud. Yeah,
no privileges for you."
Room.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny if that was actually the case?
Well, I mean, and I always assume that they're roommates, and I don't even know for sure, but I'm still going to assume that. But if they've been, sharing a room for the last 15 years, 12 years.
Well, and you go back and they've grown up together. I mean, they've been together in the same house and in the same close proximity forever. So it'd be kind of
weird to be with someone else, I guess, but.
And Tarjei is
or maybe thank God, finally have a break from this guy.
This is it. I'm making my break. I thought it was really sweet, actually, that he got to have his family there too. I saw his wife there, and I don't know if his kid was there, but I saw his wife there, and that was really sweet.
Because was Boe's wife and kid in? Does he have one or two children? I thought one, right?
Two. Tarjei has one, and JT has two. Yeah.
But was Boe's family, JT's family there when he announced the retirement? I don't think so.
No, right? I couldn't see through the tears.
At least not in the spotlight.
I don't remember. Yeah. It was also really I don't know if I sent this to you or if you saw it, but the IBU posted a thing, or it was IBU or the Norwegian team posted a video, and they showed Tarjei talking to Ziggy Mazet. Yeah, where you could see Ziggy wiping away tears as well. So I don't even know if Ziggy knew before.
I got the impression he didn't
before this moment, and it's just it is. I think it speaks a lot to how the closeness of this team. We have obviously joked a lot and about how difficult it is to make the team, but the guys who are there, like, clearly they really enjoy being around each other, and Mazet clearly enjoys being around them as well. That he was so emotional seeing both the Boe boys announce their retirement, and it makes you, if there are those sorts of feelings about them leaving, it makes you kind of feel good about having watched them. Not that I need reinforcement for how I've spent my time, but just makes you feel better about having invested the time and watching them and caring about them. I don't know if everybody listening has seen it. I wrote this thing about Tarjei last year, and I'll post it again in the show notes, but he really is. I love him. Like, he is my guy. I just he was there when I first, when I went from being like sort of knowing what biathlon is and like falling in love with it, and then also like watching him at that moment. It was sort of like this. Just read the thing. I wrote it better than I'll be able to say it. But he means a lot to me, and just watching him the last, what has it been? 15 years, 16 years? How long has he been around? I lose track of how old I am. It's hard to believe that is coming to an end, and I knew it was coming to an end at some point, right? Not everybody's is Simulator.
Well, especially with him, right? We're kind of anticipating him.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, I wasn't ready for it. I think having his brother announce first made it a little bit easier, maybe not the right word, but sort of softened the ground up for it, to be like, okay, like I can emotionally, accept this a little bit more. And I think also watching him perform, we talked, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago now, about Vera, and we'll talk more about her too, but would it be hard to watch her go into next year if she wasn't at her best, and sort of if she was just competing but not racing at such a high level? Watching Tarjei really since Annecy, right, when he won that mass start, and then he's had a win and 2 second place finishes since then, I think. Watch him go out like this is really fun, and say, you know what, if he's going out, like, he's going out racing in style. And I was worried that maybe the choice wasn't going to be his at that moment, but clearly it's his choice, and it's not performance based, because he can still do it.
No kidding.
And I'm gonna miss it.
That said, though, I think he's only in 7th, isn't he? Oh no, he climbed up.
He's in 5th.
5th, yeah. Yeah, it's still not good enough.
No. If he races like this, he's going to be in 3rd before the end.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to catch his brother, but he's going to make a run for it.
Yeah, it's I feel very, very blessed that I had the chance to both interview JT in Canmore and then run into Tarjei in the parking lot in Canmore as well. I'm sure he's still emotionally thinking back of that meeting with our podcast bib in his hands.
I thought when he was crying, I
feel such an idiot that I didn't take a selfie with him. Especially now, right? Because
when he was, we're not going to get a chance. But I saw him actually when he was crying. He pulled it out and he was wiping his tears up with the penalty of the podcast. So he carries it close to his heart. Yeah.
Oh, that makes me happy to hear that.
Just I told you, but I put in a request for a press pass for Oslo, and it came through. So I have the option to go, and now I just got to convince the family. So there's a roughly 0.1% chance that I'll be there, but I'll make every effort to make that happen.
Don't fly through Denver, please.
Or not flying through Denver. There actually is a direct flight to from here to there, so that would be my option. Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. Although it probably would make you feel like you're in Antholz.
Yes. That was an excellent. Man, you're getting good at this. You're getting good at this. The transition was remarkable.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Come on. Can you really not come up with anything that looks slightly different?
Mm-hmm.
This really literally feels like, hey, Oslo, can you give me the number of that guy that built your, bulletproof thingy around the range?
Yeah.
But, I mean, if it works. Clearly it works. And it's super cool to, because it always felt in Antholz that they were kind of skiing through the ski racks at the end there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's very nice, but it's, I don't know. I like it when stadiums have their own...
Yeah, their own feel.
That you can just look at a race for 2 minutes and be like, oh, they're there.
Yeah. Where now you've got that giant brick building,
that big barn.
Yeah, right. And then
and the snowstorm blowing in, and
exactly. Right, Oslo.
And then when you see just something gray, it's an Oberhof.
Exactly. Just a gray blob out there in the screen.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the women who works for Fondo Italia, and talking about, she had talked to Doro about the changes that were made, and so there's a big building that's over facing the targets. There's a building now on the left side of the range, and how it when you're on the left side of the range, it's really difficult to pick up on any wind at all. But especially as you move further away from the building, it can kind of get a little swirly. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't necessarily pick up on it making a big difference in the races, but just something interesting to think about for next year. Yeah, I was going to say, think about next year where they're going to be there for 2 weeks. One of those days is probably going to be a little breezy. So I'll be curious to see how that plays out next year.
It's always interesting that on the one hand they do everything they can to make their home team successful, but then when they need a big building for VIPs and stuff, that completely messes up the whole advantage you have on a shooting range. But yeah, it's how it goes.
Money. Yep.
Money. Yeah.
What did you think overall of Antholz this year?
I
ask this question because I look forward to it every year. I think it's a gorgeous venue, and we know now how many athletes love racing there, and so it just sort of holds this high place, this high position. Did you feel like the weekend itself held such a high position for you?
No.
Yeah.
It felt. I don't know what it was. It felt tamer than usual, I definitely felt that. I'm sure there's always a lot of Germans, but it felt now that they'd basically taken over the stadium.
They were louder for Germans than they were for Italians.
Yeah, and that's especially a year before, and even more especially with Giacomo having such a great weekend. It must be. Well, I mean, it probably all sounds loud when you're going on to the finish line there, but yeah, I don't know. It's. I mean, like you said, it's a great venue. The weather was great in most days, and it's a great course. I really don't remember them ever, when they go up that hill where they pass all the BMWs that are puttering up the hill. I always thought they would turn like. What's that?
I loved your Instagram post, by the way.
I always have those kinds of thoughts, but then I never do anything with it. And I'm like, oh no, I'm just going to take simple screenshots.
Yeah.
But I thought they always kind of went like, 35-degree turn to the right, then go around that big tree, and then loop, and then kind of zigzag. And it seemed a couple of races now they made a sharp turn right, and they skipped a part of it.
I wonder if that has to do with the
course
finish
length?
around. Yeah, right. The finish around the loop or not around the loop, but around
then,
the range.
What race was it where they didn't finish? Like they didn't do the bulletproof loop. They still went through the shooting range. Was that the relay?
It wasn't the relay.
No, the relay was no.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the pursuit.
The pursuit. Yeah.
Anyway, it's I don't know. It's I don't know what it was. I can't really put a finger on. Maybe it was just with the announcement of Tarjei Boe that it has a bit of a not negative, but kind of a sad feeling around it. But
yeah, and I think too some of the racing this week. The men's sprint was obviously very exciting, but I thought there were a couple of races this week that I was like, I could have just taken a nap. And like the men's relay with France having like a just massive lead for most of the thing, and Jean Monod, God love her, but she was up by like a minute for most of the race. When we can talk about that more.
You got to give credit to Jacques Lando, hey?
Jacques Lando.
He's like, man, now I shot all my targets. I got to find another way to make it more exciting. And then he just went down, and he was lucky though, because there was a couple of athletes that like Deirdre. I always have a problem with her first name. Yeah, and it set her back at least 20, 25 seconds.
Yeah, she was off. I honestly didn't know that there was that steep a bank off the end. Like I just
and it totally reminded me a couple of years ago. There was a Czech lady, I think one of the older ones, and I think she almost disappeared in the snow.
Yeah, just because it was like you went out almost. Yeah. And again, it just reminds you how tough it is to ski on those skinny little skis, right? Yeah,
because I'm sure there were more falls that we didn't see.
Well, as I say, we saw a handful, right? I think there were 3 or 4. And that's not even including the big one that happened today. But and again, and the course was in great shape, so I don't know if I think it's just the nature of the sport.
Well, that section they go fast, and it's a sharp turn.
Yeah.
And it also has a bit of a bank, so. And I wonder if Michelin fell there today, because she came through that turn once before, and because other people had fallen there, I was kind of keeping more attention on it, and then she seemed very, very wobbly. And then in her last lap, she lost like 25 seconds all of a sudden.
I think she did. Yeah.
So I don't know if I don't know if she fell, but it seemed like nobody really knew.
Yeah.
Or
it was a tough go today.
Maybe just ran out of
gas.
gas.
This week, I should say. We also had Elisa Gasparin retiring as well, which leaves us with just one racing Gasparin, I should say, because Julio Gasparin.
Obviously, she's going to retire or announce her retirement next
week, right?
World Cup or World Championship.
You want to say Julio Gasparin sent me a message saying that he's still working, he's still traveling with the IBU and doing interviews and things. So yes, so he's still out there. But the third sister, Aita, Aita, I'm probably mispronouncing it. There's a famous musical, Aida, and that's whenever I see it, that's what I think of, right? And I know I'm mispronouncing it, but I can't help myself. Anyway, so she's still out there, and speaking of, she had a great weekend. I think she was 13th in the sprint and 8th in the pursuit, which tied her career best. So
time to leave.
You're going out on top. Might as well call it. But
so is she retiring now or like the end of the season?
End of the year, just like Tarjei, end of the year. Yeah. Yeah, because she was still out there. She raced the sprint, and it looked like she was going to have a good finish. And not that it was bad, but just had a couple misses in the standing.
I wonder if Jakob Fuck was also thinking of retiring, and after today decided to not give up on it yet.
What a guy!
If you keep JT Boe behind you in the final stretch of a race,
yeah, gets the fire going a little bit. Seriously,
no kidding.
He looks like he did 3 or 4 years ago, whatever it was that he had that They're really, really good.
He had an interview where he said he felt like it today. Like he was
he looks
3 years
great.
or 4 years younger.
He looks absolutely great. I had looked it up because I was like, man, I feel like he hasn't raced like this in a while. And so there was that year. Was it 2021? He finished very high. And besides that, this is on pace to be his best season since he finished third in the overall. And that's pretty darn good. 37 years old.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not slowing down at all. He's one of those guys that I would love to see race like Ader. Just like keep going. Just keep going. Just be 40 years old and be out there and.
Yeah, I was reading the other day that apparently it runs in the Ader family because his dad skied even longer.
Yeah, his dad was going forever. Because I remember I was going back.
Maybe Simon Ader has been wanting to retire for the last couple of years, and his dad like, what? You're not even 50. Keep going.
Wimp. I was going back and doing the research for that thing I wrote about the history of Swiss biathlon, and there was a event, and there was something, I can't remember even what happened, but I was like, Ader, huh? You know, and how old was he in this race? And I looked up, and he was like 44 years old. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, these guys just race forever.
Yeah. Well, it's there's those brothers in Norway that do all the marathons and stuff. Mm-hmm. Really trying hard to remember now, but they're in their. I would think I think one of them, Anders. I can't think of the last name now, but any Norwegian will know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. They still compete and stuff. He's in his 50s, and he's still like actually competing, not like just participating. Mm-hmm. And then a couple of years ago, they were, they go for the training runs and stuff, and then on Strava they see how many kilometers somebody did in a day, and then the brother and the buddy go out and they just do 10 kilometers more. And at some point, I forgot the numbers. It was like something completely absurd, like over 200 or 300 kilometers in one day.
What?
Just going skiing. And it might have been even more. I don't remember, but it was this whole hype on social media and Strava where we're just outdoing each other.
That's gonna be them. Maybe Simon Ader's dad is out there still.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. They have a family event. They don't tell anybody about at the end of the year.
Yeah, minimum age 40 years old.
Yeah, that's right. Got to keep going. He's just using this season to train for the family event.
Yeah.
It's all preseason races until then.
Yeah. So, is Preutz going to be able to hang on?
I'm really glad you asked. I have no idea. This is going to be. I mean, it could be so close. They're so good. Both of them are so good.
Well, that's what we often said, right? If your bat results are really good, because to me it felt like that after this weekend, Jean Monod would be ahead of Preutz, and you did some great number crunching where if she keeps up this pace compared to Preutz, then she's still not going to win the overall.
Yeah.
Right?
So, just to give you all the numbers I did, because it was quite a lot. So as of right now, just so you know, Preutz is up by 92 points. So it's 879 to 787. So if you go back to the end of the first trimester, Preutz had a 203-point lead. So over the course of the second trimester, it went from, and that's over Jean Monod, by the way. It was 203 points over Jean Monod. So over the course of the second trimester, her lead on Jean Monod went from 203 down to 92, which comes out to 20 points per race. So if Jean Monod keeps going at this pace, it's 213 points. But anyway, if Jean Monod keeps going at this pace, she would end up winning the overall by 49 points. So if she keeps collecting 20 points more than Preutz per race for the last 7 races of the season, Jean Monod wins the overall at 49 points. All right, so it sounds like she's on a great path. took her 4 wins in 5 races to get there, but it doesn't matter. She's on a great path. She's on a great trajectory. So part of this trimester was Oberhof, of course, and Preuss had this bizarre weekend where she finished 28th and 20th. And it is clear now, having gone, third, second, the last 4 races, that whatever happened in Oberhof, she didn't like it, doesn't like the course, doesn't perform there. It was an aberration. Because those four podiums fit much more in with everything else she's done this year than Oberhof did. So if you just look at the last 4 races, so you look at the races in Ruhpolding and Antholz. So Preuss goes second, third, and it's not like we're cutting out good races for Jean Monod here, because Jean Monod goes first, ninth, first. In those races, Preuss's lead only goes from 116 to 92. So in those 2 weekends, she only lost, 16 plus 8, 24 points off her lead, which comes out to 6 points per race. So Jean Monod wins 3 of the 4 races, and Preuss only loses 6 points per race. And at that trajectory, of course, Preuss hangs on. She wins by 50 points. And think about it. I mean, Jean Monod had to win 3 of those 4 races. That's sort of an impossible thing to keep doing. And the key is that Preuss has 4 podiums: second, third, and that's what she's been doing all season. And that's how you win an overall. So I don't know, right? Is Preuss going to be able to keep this up for an entire another trimester? Maybe. She's done it now for two trimesters.
But is Jean Monod going to
win
3 out of 4?
That's the thing, right? So Jean Monod is 92 points. Like, how big is this? How big is 92 points over 7 races? We're going to find out. But it really could go.
As much as I want Preuss to win, I would really feel really bad for Jean Monod if she came in second again.
Especially if she came in second by like 10 points or something like that.
Yeah.
Because with 7 races left, she needs to collect 13 points per race. So if Jean Monod wins every race and Preuss comes in second every race, Jean Monod will still win.
Yeah.
But she almost, with Preuss getting on the podium as often as she is, Jean Monod is going to have a whole bunch of wins in there. Because, this is obvious. And it sounds obvious even saying it, but it's worth saying. Every time Preuss wins a race, and she very well could win another race, then that just makes Jean Monod's job that much harder. And then and it's gonna be tight. It's gonna be really close. So either way, and here's the thing, either way I'm gonna be thrilled. I think they are both deserving champions. I think
this is what we want, right? At close standings.
Yeah. And if you made me choose, like you said, you know what? The world is going to end unless you choose one of these women to be the champion. I would probably choose Preuss just because she's closer to the end of her career than Jean Monod. So Jean Monod has more chances to win. But that is it. That is the only reason I would choose one of these women over the other. I just, I really enjoy watching both of them race.
Yeah. Well, and Jean Monod is just like a league of her own. Like she had a period last year, right, where just takes no effort, it seems.
When she is at her best, it looks beautiful. She's just
even a miss. Like, she doesn't look flabbergasted at all. Like, it's just
If you guys, I'm sure everybody listening to this has already done it, but just watch her sometime when she comes in for a standing shoot. Prone too, but you can see it better with standing. How she settles herself, and you can watch her go from obviously exerting a lot of energy on the course to just being completely settled, steady, and focused. And it's, I don't know, it's almost like somebody just waved
and
a
I
magic
can tell
wand and
if you're an amateur biathlete, your barrel is not going to be that stable. Even if you have no, you don't raise your heart rate or anything, you just basically just tootle around and then you go to the range. Your barrel is all over the place. It's so hard to keep it stable, and then to do that with a heart rate like that. That's one thing I really loved, is that it seemed like the microphones were in the mats or something. Like you could really hear them breathing.
Yes.
The rhythm, really hard breaths and then stop. That was cool.
Right? Yeah. It was really neat. This is Jean Monod, like I said, at her best, she looks like the best. It's an obvious statement, but it just is. It's pretty cool. Like there's some people, and we've talked about with Benny Dole, right? When he's racing well, he looks like he is. He don't look like the best, right? But Jean Monod, when she is racing at her top, like she looks like the best. Everything looks clean, and it's
well, and everybody goes in one skate, and she just keeps going two skate.
Yeah, was it the pursuit where it had to be the pursuit because it was the first lap, right?
Yeah.
And she just sort of glides up the climb. And Grosjean and Preuss were coming up behind her, and you could see them like halfway up the climb. They're like, "Nope, we got to work." And it's like, "Oh, it actually is much more difficult than it looks."
It's incredible. And I've never skied there, but I still think those hills don't even look they don't look as steep as they are. And then to the pace they go up these things, and then sometimes somebody still pushes a bit of a sprint out,
Well, you saw in the pursuit, right? Because you saw Preuss do that to Richard up the hill.
Oh yeah,
right. And you kind of feel bad. This happens to Richard twice in 2 weeks. Then Preuss goes by her, but I mean Preuss clearly was stronger and definitely just put in the move right then. That was a smart move.
Yeah, but you got to know for sure that you're strong enough for it, right?
Oh, you better. Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah. I am just as much as I can gush about Jean Monod, I think that also, Preuss wasn't bad. Like she finished in third in both races,
and no kidding.
Yeah, she really found a way to squeeze everything out of herself during those two races. And I wonder how. Oh, real quick. I was going to say, I wonder how tired she was at the end of the pursuit with her not racing the relay, because you get all the time to rest up before Worlds after the relay, and she still didn't race it because I think she was tired.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's so much work.
Do you follow Formula One at all?
Not at all. But I know a little bit, but not a ton.
So it's probably always been there, but it's very noticeable in the last couple of seasons that there's team orders. So there's 2 drivers per team. Driver A is in a higher position on the total rankings behind another team, and the second driver of a team is in the lead, slows down to let the other driver pass of his team, so he gets more points towards the total victory. Do you think we'll ever see a German coach tell Grosjean to slow down in the last section to let Preuss pass her?
Well, would have been nice in the sprint if she would have slowed down and given Preuss the second place points. I don't think so, but then again, I don't know. It'd be so if it came down to it. It
totally crossed my mind because it's especially so tight.
Yeah.
If Preuss loses by 5 points by the end of the season.
Oh, yeah, I know. If it came down to Oslo, maybe, but that'd be so hard. I mean, I'm imagining a situation where they are like all in the top like 3 to 5 spaces, and it's hard to tell someone to slow down. If they're in like 25th, it's a little bit easier, But
okay, let's devil's advocate.
I know what you mean.
Jean Monod wins the last race in Oslo, mass start, I think.
Yeah.
Preuss is, in a position right behind Grosjean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like,
and if she passes her, she wins the overall.
I know. I don't know. Do you think they do it?
I don't know. My biathlon mind would say no. Biathlon athletes don't do that, but
it's such a big thing.
Especially if for Grosjean it wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Like I think she would probably just step on her pole or something. I don't think she would just kind of slow down and go to the side. She'd probably just, or a coach would hold out a water bottle, but then throw it in her face or something. Sorry.
Reach out, and oh, I'm handing you this flag to wave. Oh, just kidding.
Yeah. Flag for the fourth place.
Yeah. That's a really good thought. And with how close this overall could be, it'd be a real test of it.
I can't imagine that Preuss would even want it.
No. That's a good point, too. Yeah.
And since we're on this kind of topic,
question, though. Yeah.
Do you think at this level of racing, is there room, if it's a couple 100 meters before the finish, let's just say there's two athletes basically side by side, and they accidentally hit each other.
Yeah, I can't.
Will we ever see in the biathlon world that the person that doesn't fall will slow down and say, come on, get up?
Probably not. Well,
I honestly...
Ever is a long time, right? Ever is a long time.
Sure.
So it's possible. I don't only know... I mean, I guess if you knew that there's nobody else that could catch you, right? If you knew the third place person was so far back. Otherwise, I don't know.
It honestly crossed my mind today where I was seriously wondering if Hannah would do it, and I'll bet you if she wasn't completely pumped with adrenaline and it's been embedded in her life that you win no matter what, I could really see her slow down and be like, get up.
Yeah.
But I agree. I don't think we'll ever see it because that's just not that these are top professional athletes. So there's too much on the line. But in her heart, I have a feeling that someone like Hannah Oberg would probably want to.
Yeah, just
and you could see, right? They couldn't even enjoy their win.
Yeah, and as soon as she crossed the line, like she almost looked like she was signaling to her teammates not to come out.
Yeah.
And her teammates were, they're excited. They did a great job, and who knows? I guess they saw on the video board, but I mean, and she clearly felt bad. What were your thoughts? Did you think that somebody was at fault? Did you?
Nah.
Yeah.
It sucks, but it I don't know. Like, I found it very telling that because I was watching the Swedish commentary or the Swedish broadcast, and they literally zoomed in almost on every Swedish coach or non-racer.
Yeah.
And every single one of them was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And then you could see they're like, "Oh no," not like, "Oh my God, yes, we're going to win now." It was all like, "Oh." Everybody was building up for this epic finish, and then yeah. So no, I don't know. Like, I'm sure if you watch the video 50 times, you can find like, oh well, she kind of was leaning towards that way or that way, but I don't know. Like, obviously it's 40 kilometers per hour slower, but I've skied at the top of my abilities at some point. You're really not in control of everything, right?
No. The only thing I could think about rewatching it, like the dozen or so times I did, was that because this is in the section, right, where they're going down and they're going to go around behind the range.
Well, it's flat though, right?
Oh no, this is what I mean. It was flat. They're going in that direction, but there was a wall on one side and there's a wall on the other side. So there wasn't like a lot of space. And the only thing I was thinking about was if Hannah give more leeway, going around. But two things. One, she's in full momentum, right? Like, she doesn't want to break her momentum. She's charging full ahead, and she is gaining, and she clearly appears to at that moment have the initiative. And so I think that she is just trying to. I mean, they're exhausted. She's trying to go all out to the end, and that was the fastest way to do it, was to keep going in the line that she's in. And if she goes a little bit off to the left, she loses momentum. Also, if she goes a little bit off to the left, there's a wall. Tangible, for better or worse, I mean, smart racing decision, has planted herself right in the middle of the course, so it just didn't leave a lot of room on either side. And I'm not saying that she had no room to go around on the other side, because I just don't know that we had the perfect angle to say if she had room to go around.
And I did not look it back at all, but my first impression was that Hannah got her pole on the wrong side of her ski, which made her kind of fall over and then swing her ski out, and then the ski touched Tandrevold or got her tangled up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, I mean, they were really close to each other, but I don't think they were actually stepping on each other's skis. I think it was more a matter of Hannah tripping almost, and in her fall, catching Tandrevold, but I don't know.
I totally agree. Slightly different read. But I agree with the general idea. It looked to me like their poles clipped each other, and then Hannah started going down, and Hannah's pole ends up in front of Tandrevold. But again, I think it was like I don't think it matters. I think you're right. It doesn't really matter, right? You got two people going.
But I can totally see if you're a Swede in this case, or if it was the other way around, you'd be totally pissed off. And if you're a Norwegian, I'm sure you're totally pissed off. Yeah. And I'm sure he can find ways of looking at the video where you're like, oh, it's so obvious.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
I'm sure. And if you're coming out with a point of view,
they don't. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean,
people,
Knotten was asked too, right? And
I didn't see that. No.
I forgot what it. Well, she said something like, sometimes life sucks or shit. Yeah. Oh yeah, shit happens. And then she's like, oh, can I say that? And then she tried to be like, well, I mean, it can't always go your way, or like she tried to say it in a diplomatic way. It was kind of funny, but I'm guessing Tandrevold, after the adrenaline was going down and she saw the video, she probably thought the same thing, like shit happens.
And I saw people saying they were kind of upset with Tandrevold that she was not more gracious afterwards. I was like, man, you're that big a competitor, and you just got in a little trip up. Like, yeah, you're gonna be kind of irritated. You just want to get off the course. I get it. And afterwards, she did post the picture with Hannah on Instagram, and clearly they no hard feelings. But at the moment, you're like, damn it, I could have won.
Oh, of course, that's not.
You're irritated. Yeah. That's it. That's just being an athlete and being a competitor.
And let's be honest, either team, I think Sweden has a bit more chance, but either team's going to have a pretty hard time beating France this season. So the few chances you get, you want to, how did you say that? Capitulate on it.
You want to take it, man.
Nah, but it.
So that's my journal. I don't blame anybody for anything that happened. I think everybody handled it at the end as in the way that I would hope they would. Hannah obviously looked quite. She looked upset about it, right? And Tandrevold was, I don't think, nasty in any way. And I think afterwards, they're pretty sporting about it. So
yeah,
just
unfortunately, I don't know if you saw the interview with Hannah.
Nope.
Like a little bit later. I mean, it seemed like she couldn't even enjoy the fact that they won. She was more like, yeah, I'm happy that we had a great race, but just felt bad about the whole. But I mean, yeah, what can she do about it? It's
sure, yeah. Interesting thing though, by winning, it gives them a advantage on France. Should there be a tie in the relay standings, because Germany had 2 wins, now Sweden has 2 wins. Sweden now leads the women's relay globe standings by 15 points over France and 35 over Norway. And so if there's a tie, then Sweden gets the globe because they have more wins, even if France wins the last one. So just interesting little side note.
Yeah.
Also interesting, Germany's roster chaos kind of hurt them. They go from first in the globe standings down to 4th, which kind of makes me feel bad. But
yeah, do you know any background on this lineup? You said Preuss was tired, but
Preuss was tired. Grotian
and Vogt is still out, of course.
Yes. So Vogt out. They only took 4 to Antholz, and then then Preuss and Grotian obviously decided not to race, so they had to pull a couple of people over from where they were training for the European Championships to round out the relay group, and obviously didn't quite go as well as you would have hoped. But it's kind of
Well,
kind of a funky day.
Not as where you would hope, but I mean, if you can, get a couple of girls from IBU Cup or lower division, and you can still get into 8th, then
can't complain too much.
There's anything to be embarrassed about at all.
Yep.
Big shout out to the Canadian women, who eventually came in 10th. But I think after Pascal Paradis leg 1, were they in 4th or? They were really up there.
They were high up there.
And then, and I think later on they were 6th. And, you know that when the 4th leg is where often the fastest skiers are. And that's still an aspect where Canadians are a bit behind. But to come in 10th, I thought it was incredible achievement for the team. No penalty loops, 6 misses in total. I mean, what else can you ask for, right?
That was it.
They beat Austria. They beat Poland, Czech, Finland.
Some teams having some decent seasons too.
Yeah,
they've really been coming around the last couple of years, or not couple of years, couple of relays, couple of weeks. I'm kind of excited about the direction they're going. Yeah. I think Adam Reynolds had a decent. Didn't he have a good sprint?
32nd?
Yeah,
32nd, I believe. Yeah.
So maybe the first trimester didn't go as well, but I think that it's not going to be the greatest season in Canadian biathlon history. But they're doing pretty decently. A lot better than it looked.
Yeah, no, for sure. Do you know what happened to the Finnish men today? Because I think they had 3 in the pursuit and they all didn't start. Is that right?
I think there is a little sickness going around the Finnish team.
Yeah.
Thank you for setting me up for my Suvi Minkinen corner. It's sad days over here as she missed the pursuit. The sprint didn't go as well. I think I haven't seen anything official, but it sounds like there's a bunch of people that have been sick. I know Vinla Lettinen had a fever, and with the number of sort of poor races or people pulling out that there was, I think that something got into their camp. So hopefully everybody recovers well and is feeling good for World Championships. I'm still pretty excited about Suvi Minkinen the rest of the year. I mean, she's had an amazing year. She's still top 10 overall, and no reason to believe she can't bounce back. It's been a year of great things for her. So next up, World Championships, and maybe we get some top 10s at Worlds.
So then, I guess what everybody wants to know: who is your number 1 lifetime favorite biathlete for the next week or so?
Yeah, my number 1 favorite biathlete for the next week. Oh, give me a couple minutes to think about it, and I'll give you an answer. I can't come up.
Well, I think
I have too many right now.
You couldn't go wrong with Bazerga, who has been on fire.
Yes.
And Vera, that you mentioned before, who is also like, if there was any doubt if she still has it, she still has it.
Oh yeah, she still has it. I can't help but think about this Italian team if Vitatsu was still racing. Not even the overall, but just this Italian team, and seeing, because I would imagine she would be right up there. And if you had her and Vera up there, plus you had them both on the relay, I think that there might be a little more excitement building for Olympics next season. So I just makes me a little bit sad. As it is, though, Vera 4th in the sprint, Jacomel having just a really great couple of races here.
Which apparently made Weir pretty excited.
Very excited,
she almost
right?
jumped him.
Yes.
While he was being interviewed.
Yeah. Vera was
hilarious.
quite excited.
I love that about Vera, that I don't think she cares if there's cameras or whatever. She just kind of does whatever, right?
She's just happy, man. She's just living her life and being happy, and I love it. Yeah, so Vera and Jacomel, and if this was serving as a sort of a test run for Italians for next year for the Olympics, I think that they look pretty good. I mean, Jacomel, he had his first ever top course time rank. Anyway, I think that they should be excited, looking forward to next year.
I really feel with Vera now, in the last couple of races, like you often see like a bit older athletes. I remember Eric Lesser when he won in Oslo talking about it, and I've heard it from some others. When they're like, you get in a stage in your career where you're still competitive, but you get to the point where you realize that you should just enjoy being there. And of course, you still race hard and everything, but just not get yourself too fired up about things and just enjoy being there. And I really feel with Veer, she's really enjoying just, racing hard, being part of the World Cup.
Yes.
She's just having a really good time.
I think she
know,
is.
It's nice to see. And that's where she just jumps into an interview and is like, oh, whatever, what are they going to do? Kick me out?
Yeah. Not Veer.
I like that.
They're thrilled that she joined the interview.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see it, and the more the better, right? The more Veer we have in our lives, the more Jacques racing like this, it just makes it a lot more fun. Just wanted to mention that the Italian men having their best relay finish of the season. I think they were fourth, and I think it was Biona had one of his best finishes of the year in the sprint. He was 16th. So just overall, I think this is a pretty good test run there for the Italians. Got to be happy. And another team that's looking, we've talked about them before, and you just mentioned Baserga, but the Swiss team looking like their things are really coming together because their big moment in the sun is coming up in a couple of weeks.
And Nicholas is still doing awesome, hey?
He sure is. Another top 10 today. That's his sixth, and that's a whole bunch of them this trimester. Did you know this? So I had to look this up because I thought for sure he had a bunch more when he won the overall, but not when he won the overall. When he won the U25
blue bib.
That he had more top tens, but he only had 8 that season, and he's already got up to 6 this year. So he doesn't have the second place finishes that he had that year, but he's maybe just a little more consistent. I don't know.
Well, and he missed a number of races this year, right?
He did. Yep. So that's cool. I mean, that's exciting. You mentioned Baserga. We mentioned Gasprin. Hacky Gross in the Pursuit went from like 59th to 14th. It's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah. No kidding.
So I think both of them were both teams fourth and fifth in the relay.
They were both. I don't have it in front of me, but
I've got it right here. So the women were fourth. I had thought about that they could maybe make the podium because I was thinking with Sweden not having Elvira and the Norway team being a little bit up or down. I thought maybe they could sneak onto the podium, but just didn't happen. And then in the men's relay, they were fifth. So,
all right.
I'm happy to see them kind of moving towards. Oh, and Burkhalter had another good sprint. I think he was like 14th. So everything's is going right for them as Lenzerheide is coming up. And I was worried back in the first trimester that maybe that wasn't going to be the case, but I'm not worried anymore.
Well, and even I don't think Staller's like he's not back to the level he was last year, but his shooting is starting to come back at least.
We've seen it happen a couple times, right? Where I'm not expecting him to suddenly be a rocket, but he could still get a little better in the next few weeks.
Yeah, although I just see that his sprint didn't go very well. He had only 70%, but the 3 races before that he shot clean.
He was doing better. Yeah.
Man, there's how long have we been talking? There's so many things we haven't talked about yet. Laegreid in yellow bib. Tarjei winning.
Exactly what I was going to say was that we didn't mention either one of those things, and they were both just gigantic. They happened on the same day.
I know, and was it? Hornig.
Yep, Hornig had another top 10.
And we mentioned Jakob Fak coming in 4th. Was it 4th?
In the Pursuit?
I believe so, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because I think it was fifth. He outsprinted JT there.
JT. Yeah. Yeah, and we have new leader in the men's isolated pursuit cup. Sturla Holm Laegreid passed Johannes Boe. Sturla Holm is at 247, Johannes 245, Tarjei Boe 190. And Emilien Jacquelin didn't have a great day again today either, because I think he was leading the pink bib after one or two. But yeah, it hasn't been going great. But yeah.
Can we go back
Do you think this is one of those when Sturla Holm Laegreid in a couple of weeks finally starts realizing that he's leading the World Cup?
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to go back to. Did you see him at the end of the pursuit when he was just sort of pointing to gesturing the yellow bib? Sort of like, hey, I've got this now. That
I
was
didn't
kind of
see
funny.
that, no.
Yeah,
no,
not like he wasn't being like a jerk or anything about it. It was very much like a, hey, I've earned this.
Yeah. Well, he totally
definitely has. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, he has. He's looked like the best over the last, couple weekends, and
Tarjei looked pretty strong too.
Tarjei looked pretty strong too. That's a good point.
I think it's more Johannes that I still don't see the Johannes we're all hoping for. At 40%, he's still really, really, really good. And I'm not saying he's only at 40%, but he's also not at 100%, I think.
Did you see?
And I honestly don't know if we're still going to see it this season.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a long time left.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see 100%. I don't think we're going to see the
I think the ability will be there. I just don't think the fire is there anymore. But
well, I was just going to. I don't know if there's enough time to get to the form level where JT Boe was last year, where he, in Canmore. Because I was thinking particularly about the way he looked on the third lap this week of the sprint, when I just haven't seen him go backwards that much in a sprint on the third lap, right? And I don't think
he skied backwards just to keep it competitive.
Looked like it. He was. Yeah, I think he was trying. I think he overdid it, because I think his first lap was just ridiculous, and then second lap was more in line, and then third lap was he clearly was overtaxed a little bit, and just didn't have anything left in the tank. And I've just never seen him go backwards like that. He looked totally gassed coming down the finishing stretch. So I wonder how much did the virus take out of him, and how much did he overestimate his ability to get back into shape? And then what you said was the fire there to put in the work to get back into shape. I don't know. And I'm not doubting him a second that he wants to win. Just
No.
Yeah,
but he also even alluded to it that, when he's not fully committing to training, he can still be the best in the world.
Yeah.
And maybe, for whatever reason, health or otherwise, maybe he's getting to the point where he's not going to be the best in the world without putting 100% in. And I'm not saying, like you said, I don't know, he might have put in 100% for sure, but and it's the same with maybe up to last year, he could ski full out for the first two laps and then still do it the third, and maybe now he's learning that after 2 laps of fast skiing, he doesn't have the gas to do a third one.
Yeah.
That's an adjustment too.
And having said all that,
He'll blow everybody away at the World Championships.
Was that? Well, I was going to say he had a disastrous second trimester, and he's still only 48 points behind, and he could still go win 3 gold medals at Worlds, and I would not be shocked in the
yellow
least.
bib,
and win the yellow bib. Wouldn't be shocked in the least. Nothing. It just wouldn't surprise me at all. Because it's not like, even we're talking about him like he's finishing regularly in like 18th, and it's like, oh, he was in 6th.
But it almost feels like if you see him like 10 meters behind Jago Fak, and not that he came from 50 meters when they entered the stadium, that he just didn't have enough time to catch up with them.
He just couldn't do it. Yeah,
I don't know. It's just odd. It looks odd.
Very.
And then I remember getting into the men's race today, and you see this Norwegian guy with a yellow bib, and I automatically assumed it was JT Boe.
I had the same thing.
And it's like, oh God, that's not him.
I know. I was shocked when I don't know why it stunned me, because I knew, but anyway, it was a very odd feeling. I guess we'll have to get used to it, because I don't think Sturla's retiring this year.
No. Luckily, he's not related to the Boe brothers.
Yeah, so he can't go.
But even JT Boe shooting too. Hey, like he had, I think, 2 misses in the final standing today, and missed both his 5th shot in standing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Not 100% sure about that, but
now watch, he's gonna move his family to a cabin in the mountains and train super hard, and he's gonna come out and he's gonna in Switzerland to look like a world beater, and we'll be like, oh well, that was interesting.
He should have just talked to Olainer Bjørndalen, because didn't he basically live in a trailer just following the tour the whole season, and he had like a ski ramp, or what do you call it, one of those ski treadmill
in his trailer.
His trailer.
Yeah.
maybe JT Boe can just put a log cabin on a trailer and bring his family.
Get an RV and put a bring the family in the RV, and I'm
sure he loved it. The Boe bus.
The Boe bus. Here it comes.
I saw there was an interview with Tarjei. I think it was about him retiring a week after Johannes, and he said something about that his mom was very sad when Johannes retired, that he didn't want to also retire, and I was probably just joking, but then he made this comment about oh no, I'm sorry, I'm messing it up. I think it was Johannes Boe was talking about his mom, and that when he said he was going to retire, the first thing she basically said, but you're racing tomorrow, right? Because I think that's what he was saying, that he's still finishing off the season, not retiring right away.
That's going to be weird. You know, I hadn't even thought about it from his parents' perspective, but they've been watching these two boys race forever now, and suddenly next year they're not going to be racing. Can you imagine how weird that's going to be?
Yeah.
I don't know how, like, just growing up, like when they're teenagers, like sort of
sitting
like
on a couch with them watching the Olympics.
Well, sitting on the couch watching the Olympics is going to be strange. But I was thinking, like, you think kids. About as a teen, well, for the first time ever. Well, not ever, but since a long time. Just your weekends, your Saturdays, your Sundays would have been like, oh, we have this race in such and such town, right? And then suddenly they're on the then they're juniors, then they're going up IBU Cup and World Cup, and it's like they just
your son wins the World Cup, and then you know that there's this younger one who might even be better.
I know. Oh man, that's gonna be strange.
Yeah.
The French men won their 4th straight relay. That's quite a streak.
Yeah.
And when you only miss 4 times, there's not a lot anybody can do about it.
And were they ever close in those 4?
No, because Jack Lands had a chance to celebrate in all of them.
Yeah, but I don't think there was any dash to the finish line or.
Oh, that's what I mean.
That's what I mean.
Everything it was never close, because in every single one, Jacques Land has been able to do either he did the night, he did the 2-0, the 3-0, now, right? Like this time he won by 45 seconds, so it's not even been a remotely close thing. So like I said, they put that one to bed early. I think they were up by a huge amount after the second leg.
Yeah. Well, and what a group too, eh? I mean, and you could still argue that, Fabian Claude or whoever they put there is obviously going to be the weakest, but then I'm so impressed by Eric Barrault, even though not having his best season in the sense that he's challenging for the globe, but I don't know exactly how old he is, but he's 25, 26.
Is he even that old?
Still got a lot.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, and then QFM, who's still, especially in races where everybody goes to the finish line at the same time, he's always kind of dangerous and fast shooter.
I mean, 23.
Jacquelin is a bit of the wild card at the end, who can bring you back from fourth to first, or go the opposite. Fall on the spot and still win. Yeah, it's a solid team, man. But I mean, the Norwegians can't really complain. I'm actually impressed by the Swedes, how they, obviously have two kind of weaker spots on the team, and as long as you bring the team to the third leg in 10th or better, then there's still a chance.
Don't lie. Did I send it to you? That this season they've been on the podium every single relay. The Swedes have. The best they have been on the exchange from the second leg to Ponsaloma was 7th. Every other time they've been 10th or worse, and they've been in 13th place one time and still made it to the podium. Ponsaloma, by the way, who's not having his best individual season, put him in a relay, and man, he turns into a different guy. It's like he just needs to pretend everything's a relay now.
Because he brought back the mixed relay too.
He did?
Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Huh.
Give him an extra round and the guy's unbeatable.
No kidding.
But yeah, it's like an impossible situation they put Ponsaloma and Samuelson in, and it's gotten to the point where if they're within a minute of the podium, like, yeah, they got it. It's in the bag. It's just crazy.
Do you think it's would it have anything to do with the mindset of got nothing to lose?
Probably. Just go out there.
Just go full, go all out, and see what happens. Like,
God
can't
forbid
get any worse.
Victor Brandt and Jesper Nellen, they put him in like 5th or something at the exchange, and man, pressure's really on now.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I'm joking a little bit, but that's a pretty crazy thing. Did you see that this is the first time that this particular Norwegian lineup has lost with Laegreid, both Boe and Christensen? It's the first time that group of four has lost a race.
I thought they'd lost once before, but
I saw it. I saw it on the internet. Can't possibly be wrong. But yeah, or maybe did Chad say it at the end of the race? Maybe that's where I heard it.
They won a lot more than they lost. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah,
and lost meaning not won.
I follow. Oh man.
I was very happy for Lotte Lee, who
oh yes, thank you for bringing that up.
The 10th isolated time, I think, today was she, and she was one of the few that shot clean, I believe.
She finished 9th.
Regardless, she had an awesome race. So
yeah, did you see how happy she looked when she finished?
Yeah, well,
I mean, for good reason too. But it's like she clearly still gets so much joy out of these good races. I love it. It makes me happy. It tickles me.
Well, and I mean, we kind of called her out last time that Maya Klutens was doing better.
Was on her corner. Did you see? So Lotte Lee, she's actually up to, I think she's 15th in the overall, which secures her mass start for the her mass start placement for the World Championships.
Well, and I remember talking to her in Canmore, where she was kind of on the brink of making the mass start for Canmore, and she wasn't sure, and she was kind of like, kind of alluded to the fact that if she didn't make it, she was sort of okay because the tank was completely empty by that time. Yeah. So yeah, it's wonderful to see her. Yeah, 15th spot here. You're
pretty
down.
Cool.
Very cool. And Maya Klutens 24th. So
yeah, could easily have a couple of Belgians in the mass start.
It is so cool to see.
I'm very impressed by that. Yeah,
you got Slovakian, Czech, Belgian, Bulgaria, Ukraine. I mean,
Todorova.
It's wonderful to see these different nations. I mean, the top is still Germany, France, Sweden, France, Norway.
I don't think you got enough Frances in there.
Yeah. Austria. Yeah, poor Anna Gandler. Hey, she had such a good weekend last weekend.
Yeah, last weekend, 2 weekends ago. Last weekend, yeah.
Yeah, and then
can't quite get the momentum.
And then with the sprint, she was the dreaded 61st place.
Have you been paying attention to the U23 race for the women?
No, is that
pretty
still Jean?
It's pretty close.
Jean Richard?
Yeah. So Richard she's in 5th overall. And then Ocean Michelin is up to 6th overall. And Selena Grotian is 7th overall. So our 5th, 6th, and 7th overall are all U23s. And they are within 50 points of each other. Actually, I think 40-ish
And who's the next?
points.
Would that be Kirkheide? Is she?
Yep, in 10th. Yeah. And then Clutens is in 24th. So it drops down a little bit. Yeah, that's a powerful group up there for the blue bib.
Yeah, wow.
And you think
I am so impressed with Grosjean.
They changed it from U25 to U23, and they still have 3 women in the top 10.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Michelin, I wanted to point out, has had all top 10s this trimester. So she went 6th, 4th, 8th, 7th, 5th. So still
really
looking for that first podium, but man, that's a heck of a run. Was that?
Okay. I want to know what happened to her leg on the relay.
Yeah. We'll have to find out. Homework for somebody who's curious.
I am curious.
Well, homework for you.
I'm not going to see if I can find some.
While
do you think the French coaches are mad at me? Or
for
do
what?
you think I can... The picture I put on the...
No,
on
why
Instagram?
would they be mad at you? No. That was a great picture.
I do not... Every single
great
time...
Picture.
There was the shooting of the French, and you could see the boat. And every time I had to think of these two guys. At the end, I just
Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I
so funny.
And then once I see it, I can't not see it.
Somebody's gonna take our faces. Good thing that we don't post video.
Yeah,
take
no
our
kidding,
faces and put Statler and Waldorf on it.
Yeah. Wouldn't really take that much effort, to be honest.
No. The Czechs had a good weekend.
Yeah.
Very good weekend. I think in the men's sprint they had Marashek was in 10th, and Hornig, you already mentioned, was in 7th, and Kirchmarch was in 18th, I think. But it was the first time they had 2 Czech men in the top 10 of the same race since 2018, 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And, talking about calling out on people, we called out on the Ukrainian men last week that they weren't doing so great. Pedrushny, 5th spot.
Just kidding. Yeah. Great weekend in Oberhof. No. I was saying just kidding. Kidding on us, right? Because we the great weekend in Oberhof, down weekend in Ruhpolding, we called them out, and they they came right back.
Yeah.
One weird thing that we didn't talk about: Tangervold's rifle in the sprint.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of it, but I don't really know what happened there. Do you know more about it?
Speaking of people that had a fall, I think she had a fall and broke the rifle strap, so she had to ski with one hand on her rifle for part of the second lap. And then she came in, and I think at some point...
Oh, they gave her a spare, probably?
Well, they gave her a spare, but there was something about... At some point, she pointed the rifle barrel towards officials, obviously not in malicious intent or anything like that, but just maybe in the exchange of the rifle. So they were potentially going to DQ her, but obviously didn't happen.
Well, so you see how sometimes when they ski towards the mat, they already put an arm half through the strap. So if you actually take your arm out of the strap before you are on the mat, you will be disqualified.
Well,
and of course,
couldn't do it.
If the strap's not in there, that could be an excuse to be like, well, I it was falling off or whatever. So I don't know if that was the reason, but she did not get disqualified, right? Because she did the pursuit.
Because she ran again today. Yeah, but man, this poor girl, she had the heart, she had this now, she had the collision in the relay. She's just like,
Yeah.
Can we just get this year over with? It's not happening.
Yeah.
Just feel bad
I do
for her.
feel for her, hey?
Yeah, it's just
Well,
bad
and even
luck.
then, the whole Norwegian team has been kind of all over the place.
They've been all over the place. They pulled it together
Kaida
very
was
well for the
really
relay
good one
today.
weekend, and then
Yeah. Fem Steinebek has been. She's really fast. Doesn't shoot all that great, but she's really fast. So she's had a couple of top 20s, which is good for her. But when you're thinking about the Norwegian team,
even
expecting
Knoten
to see
was. She was so much stronger last year than we kind of ever seen her before. And I mean, she's strong this year too, but that stability is kind of not there for the whole team.
just thinking about, I wonder if there's going to be any coaching turnover in the Norwegian Federation. Probably not the year leading into the Olympics. That'd be a lot. But right after the Olympics.
Ziggy is going to be the next one to announce his retirement.
Well, that's what I was wondering, right? Because didn't he specifically take that job because of JT Boe?
Oh, I don't know. But I mean, he did mention at some point that they were just super, super close, right? Because they've been working so tight. But I mean, I don't know if he meant so specifically with JT Boe or just with the Norwegian team. But
there's so much talent. I mean, of course he's got plenty of fun, really highly talented guys there to work with. But I mean, would be stunned if he stepped away.
Well, and I hope it's not in his contract that he can only leave if they find somebody else, because who wants to take that job now where you have to tell, top 10 athletes that they have to go to the IBU Cup?
Oh, man, I know. Well, and the other thing I was thinking is I wonder about the women's team. Because they...
Because is Oberegger, is that their main coach on the women's side, or is he a shooting coach?
He's their main
Italian
coach,
guy?
Yeah, he's their main coach.
The main coach.
And I'm just curious. Clearly, they've taken a step backwards. I mean, you can't really blame Tangervold. But the depth isn't really there. I'm just curious. It might just be that the depth is so young that we just haven't seen them yet, but it just doesn't feel like it. So we'll see, I guess. But
they've always had... it kind of feels like they always had like one or two superstars. They had Eckhoff, Rosalind, Tandervold, and then it seemed that the follow-up wasn't quite there. Like they had good athletes, strong enough athletes to win a relay, but never... Like, I'm really curious for Kierkeide if she can actually become a contender, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Knoten can if she starts the season well and keeps it going. Obviously, we know that Tandervold can.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a can of young Norwegian biathletes somewhere waiting to be opened, and
we just haven't heard of
the World Cup in the next couple of years. But
a whole bunch more names I can't pronounce. I'm really excited about it.
Oh, well. I mean, they can say a lot about our pronunciation, but at least we're consistent with, saying it all wrong.
Yeah,
there's not many names we say right.
We're not picking on anybody in particular.
No. I hope we say the Americans and Canadian names right, at least most
Probably
of the time.
No, I know Campbell Wright's going to come on here next time saying it's actually Campbell Rickett. You have been, it's not a silent G, it's a hard G. I don't know.
Well,
speaking of Americans, by the way, we're getting into silly territory, but I did want to say all four men qualified for the pursuit. Germain and Wright by the skin of their teeth, but they still did it. But yeah.
And a little interesting fact of really no value, but so I have those standings for the isolated pursuit.
Yeah.
And on the side, I also keep track of athletes that basically compares the difference between their bib and then the race rank.
Yeah.
And it also looks at the race result and the isolated result and the difference between the two, which doesn't make any sense because there's 100 reasons not to do it. but I just happened to see that Maxime Germain has the biggest positive difference between race result and isolated result.
Huh.
And so he has, if you look at his isolated results in this season, he was 33 places better than his race results, which again, obviously you can trace back to a lot of other things. But I still thought it was funny that he was the guy with the most points in that category.
That's odd. I wonder why him. There's probably no rhyme or reason to it. I'm just trying to make up a reason for him, but I can't give you one.
Well, I mean, one is that further, because
further down you're starting. Yeah.
He starts further down, and especially if there's 20 people within 10 seconds in front of you, then
you have
climb
more
a lot.
I was just trying to think of like why him, right? Because I'm sure there are a handful of people who are usually down in there in that particular region. But anyway,
we have the second one is Victor Brandt, Antonin Gigonat.
Oh, our boy.
Yeslova, Johannes Kuhn, and Deidre Irwin. They're all kind of in that category when you compare race rank to isolated pursuit rank. And then the biggest jumpers, since we're talking about these things. And again, that is also not really a useful stat, because if you're starting first, there's not many places to climb. But Gigonat also has climbed 76 places. Elvira 77.
Most of that in one race.
Yeah. Ponsaloma is up there. Anna Magnussen, Jean Richard, Hauser, Lena Hecky Gross, Lovro,
also mostly in one race.
Blanco.
Oh.
It's just a couple that stand out here. Yeah, so Jean Monod, she's only climbed up 26 spots in total.
There's no one ahead of her.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Price. I'm sure has taken a negative differential.
Yeah, Lampage has minus 45 in this category.
Yeah, too many shootings.
Uldal has probably the worst combo because
that one really bad day.
Minus 43 on BIP versus rank and minus 40 on race versus isolated. Anyway.
Oh man, yeah. That's fun. That's just fun with stats. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where the data is there anyway. So then it's like, I know it doesn't really make sense, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Just wanted to mention real quick before we get out of here, the Junior European Championships for this weekend. I'm not going to talk about them right now. If you've stayed with us this long, congratulations. You probably deserve a prize. But we will get to it at some point. Maybe next week we'll combine it with the European Championships, and we'll do a little episode. It'll only be about 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, you're probably not lying.
Yeah, we can't control ourselves. I was joking today with RJ that we really should just hit record as soon as we log on to the video, because there's so much chit-chat before it. Like, there's at least, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes before and after that. Not 30, 45 minutes.
And how many
before.
times do we say, let's just stop here, because we need to...
I know. We need to save it for the actual discussion.
And it does feel awkward when you and I have already talked about it offline. And
I know. Yeah.
You have to pretend that it's... Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
no, we don't really do that.
We've texted throughout the weekend, right? And then we chat a little bit, but yeah.
Maybe we should start posting those on Instagram or
the text
back and forth.
Oh,
or text back and forth.
Nobody wants to read my text. Littered with typos.
We'll probably have to go through a little before we publish those.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, I think next week is no races, right?
Isn't the European Championship? No World Cup
but
races.
No
World Cup.
But, yeah. And the World Championship is then... What? Do they start on a Wednesday or something again? Like, is it all over the place?
They start on the 29th, which is Wednesday, yep. Individuals. So individuals on Wednesday, sprints on Friday.
Oh, sorry. I meant the World Championships. Are they...
Oh, World Championships. The World Championships start on...
The 16th. No. The
9th.
12th.
The 12th. Yep.
First race, 16 days from now.
Yep. Man.
So yeah, that's a Wednesday. And
it's going to be fun. I'm excited.
yeah. Man, I so hope that Nick and wouldn't that be single mixed relay, Hartwig and Bezerga winning gold
that'd be so exciting
in Switzerland.
That would be on my short list of things I would most want to see. Would be them single mixed relay.
Weren't you
gold.
talking about going to the World Championships at some point?
Yeah, it didn't happen. Obviously.
It still could.
Still could. Didn't happen. Yep.
But hey, if you need to convince Katie, like the Boe brothers are helping you, because this is like a kind of a last shot in a lifetime.
That's why we need to be in Oslo. Yeah. It's not going to happen again.
No. I wouldn't wait that long though.
Because we won't be there.
Well, who knows if they're injured or whatever? Like you better go early and then and then hope that they don't participate and you just extend your vacation. But
just chat with them.
Yeah.
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 Go out to
RJ
dinner
gave
with
you
them.
that bib, but can I have it back?
Yeah. only if it's soaked in your tears. And on that note, we're getting out of here.
Okay.
Thank you for listening, everybody.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for chat. Yeah.
Take care, guys.